It's Toma time! What is going on, guys? We are almost done with 2025 and we are on a month-long UFC break. And so today, I'm going to give you guys my top 6 UFC fighters that have to retire. So let's start it off right away, no time to waste. At number 6 on this list of UFC fighters that have to retire before the year ends, you have none other than Anthony Smith. And the reason I put Anthony Smith at number 6 is because he needs to retire, but no one really cares about him. But he just needs to retire. Like, we don't want to watch him fight anymore. We don't like his personality. No one really needs him in this UFC realm anymore. His time has been served. Now at number 5, you have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, he is the top 5 fighter that needs to retire before the year ends for many reasons. He is old. He is not the fighter that almost beat Tyron Woodley in his prime to win the belt. He is not the fighter that would stuff every takedown and put on a master clinic on the feet. Essentially a karate kickboxing legend. And he's also just the nicest man out there. We love him. We all love, Stephen Thompson. But it is time for him to retire. He got chinned by Buckley, a fake title contender, Buckley. Someone who will never sniff the belt, but only has height. If you're getting knocked out by Buckley, it is time for you to retire. Stephen Thompson would have never gotten touched by Buckley if he was still in his prime, and we don't want to see Stephen Thompson get knocked out again. At number 4, we have Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. We all know this man needs to retire, and some of you will say, what? He should be at number 1, he should be at number 2. This man is in like a 5-6 fight losing streak. The reason he is at number 4 and not further down the list is because this man has already ruined his legacy. He has already, in a sense, thrown out the image of him still being a great fighter. No one thinks of him as this legend he used to be anymore. Now, all we think about him is just a punching bag, someone who doesn't know when to retire, doesn't know when to hang up the gloves. But he cannot be in the top 3 because he was never a champion. His legacy has never really been the top guy. He's always been second. Entering the top 3 UFC fighters that must retire before the year ends, you have none other than Colby Chaos Covington. Now, some of you will say, he's only on a 2-fight losing streak. He's not that old. Let me tell you something, guys. Colby Covington is never winning another UFC fight again. Think Tyron Woodley. Think Tony Ferguson, who I just mentioned. There are certain fighters that, when they just don't have it anymore, they don't have it anymore. There are fighters, I didn't put Jose Aldo on this list because despite him being old, despite him taking many losses, he still has it in him to win. He is not ruining his legacy by fighting. People respect him. But people like Colby Covington, if he continues to fight and lose like he will, boy oh boy, is he going to go get ripped to shreds, made a fool and mockery of. And so that's why he is a top 3 fighter that must retire. Coming in at number 2, this is where it might get a little controversial. My number 1 and number 2 spot will be definitely controversial, but you guys need to understand why I'm putting them here. So at number 2, Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya. When I say this man is never going to win another UFC fight, he is never going to win another UFC fight. Mark my words. Unless they put him up against like a garbage bag. But in terms of him being a title contender and beating people in the top 5, even the top 7, it is not happening anymore. And at this point, all Izzy is going to do is run his legacy as one of the greatest middleweight champions the division has seen. This man went from being untouchable, having the most beautiful striking game, to getting beat by DDP, Dracus du Plessis, getting dominated by Sean Strickland. That would have never happened in Izzy's prime, and it is just done for him. He's another fighter that once he loses it, once he loses the belt and starts to lose, he will never win again. He just doesn't have that bounce back game. And so to preserve Izzy's legacy as one of the greatest middleweight fighters, he needs to retire. He's going to lose against Imavov, or whatever this guy's name is. He's going to lose, and every fight is going to make him look horrible. So, here we are. Number 1 UFC fighter that has to retire before the year ends, you have Alexander Volkanovski. Tough take, controversial take, but hear me out. Alexander Volkanovski went from the boogeyman, untouchable, beat Max Holloway so many times. You watch this man fight the Korean Zombie, fight Brian Ortega, all these fighters. To me, he was like kind of the Khabib of the division. He couldn't be touched. He was better at everything, no matter who his opponent was. He was better on the feet, better at ring IQ, better at grappling, everything. He had it all. And now he went to getting knocked out twice in a row. It's time for Alexander Volkanovski to hang it up. I know you fans love him. I never really did. I see him for what he is now. If he continues to fight past this year, he's going to take loss after loss. And the reason I put him at number 1 is because he has a better legacy than Israel Adesanya, than Colby Covington, than anyone else I named on this list. So he needs to protect it and preserve it. Because if he retires before the year ends, he will be the greatest 145-pound champion ever in most people's eyes. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All of these people I mentioned on this list need to retire before the year ends, before taking another fight. You may have your comments saying, I'm wrong, this, and that. Izzy's going to win his next fight. Volkanovski can beat anyone in the top 5. Time will prove me right, and then I'll just sit there and have to watch our favorite fighters laying unconscious against some nobody up-and-coming fighters that think they're good now, but they're only fighting a shell of who we used to love and watch fight. So yeah, that's my list, top 6 fighters. I hope you guys enjoyed. Happy New Year.